Hey, what's up, guys? Back with another one. I have been reflecting a lot on how we are as humans, as creative beings. What motivates us to be creative? Where does that source energy comes from for creation? To tap into your creational energy, your creational essence, the creator within you. I've been thinking a lot about this, and to summarize, normally we're in either two modes, which is survival or creative. Or you could say survival, meaning survive and thrive, or you're tapping into your creative essence. The two are polar opposites. They tend to clash with one another. You can't be inside one and using the other, or you can't be in the other or using. You have to be in either one of those modes. I guess we could start with the survival, and we move on to the creative. Essentially, the survival mode, it's it's more of a primal, raw form of energy, something that we get put into by default when we enter this third dimension, this physical space, this physical plane. When we first is when we first have been birthed into the world, survival is our default. That's our default state of mode, because we don't know anything yet. We don't know anyone. We don't know how to take care of ourselves, feed ourselves. So we depend on our caretakers for all of this. So we have an imprint. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a default imprint that keeps us in survival. It's for our safety, for our own well-being, to be able to thrive as a species. And as we go throughout our lives, we use that survival mechanism to kind of build an identity for ourselves, because experiences are what, how can I put this? Experiences are what we have as references to our character and our identity. And we use that to say that I am this single person, and I'm different from you, or that thing. That's the purpose of survival, to kind of construct whoever we think we are, or whoever we think we're supposed to be, actually. But yeah, survival serves its purpose. It has a purpose. It's not bad. It's not good. It just has a purpose. But survival beyond immediate threat can kind of have a backlash effect, or a negative feedback loop, if that makes sense. When I say feedback loop, I mean you're applying primitive algorithms or patterns for making sense of the world into modern problems. When you do this, you get side effects like anxiety or depression or OCD or whatever. The list goes on. But this is what happens when we get stuck in our survival state from birth and using that to process the world. Hey, I gotta pay my bills tomorrow. Oh, damn, shit. I can't get to work late because I'm gonna get fired or whatever. That's all survival. Whether you're in a war zone, surviving for your life, fending for food for the next day, or if you're a fucking CEO or something, deciding if he should buy the next yacht to be able to get close to the president for better opportunities for his business. Both scenarios are no different. You're still tapping into that survival fear-based part of your brain, of your consciousness. I wouldn't say your brain, but your consciousness. That's the main driving factor of your decisions, your actions, your perspective of how you interpret situations, or it kind of shapes a little filter bubble for you where you perceive what's out there, the external. And what that tends to do is have a side effect of all of those I would say neurotic tendencies. Neurotic in a sense where it's self deteriorating or catabolizing. And if I say, if you stay in that state for a long time, you could probably make it through life, but maybe it's gonna be a dull one. Maybe it's gonna be a dull one. Obviously, that's open to interpretation. Everyone has different values of what they value, but I'd like to imagine that most people want to not suffer. And when we stay in our survival state, in our survival mode of consciousness, that is the definition and the source of all our suffering. Literally all of it. But when you take a step, an extra step to say, I'm going to stop filling my survival, that little void that I'm trying to fill for security, because essentially that's what survival is. You have a bit of a void that you don't know why you're unsafe. It's fear-based. Some parts of your being or inside your visceral what's another word for visceral? Some parts of your being, like you have veins, you have nerves, you have impulses, and you have a whole system that governs all of this. Those systems are exactly what thinks that there's some kind of threat. So what it does is find some things to make itself get a false sense of security, whether it's money, whether it's drugs or whatever we use to give ourselves that false sense of security. But essentially, the main thing is we know it's false. We may not want to face that fact that it's false. It's given us a false sense of security. We might try to distract ourselves or even deceive ourselves to make us feel as if it's actually making us feel safe, but really deep down we know there's a void there that needs filling. And that's where the creative side comes in. When you say no, I'm not going to fall prey to endlessly searching for this false sense of security. I'm not going to play into that. I have free will and I have willpower as a being, as a human being in this world. And when you start to take that step and you kind of go within and start to connect with your essence, your true source, your the creator within you, that divine spark. I don't want to use the word divine, if because I'm a highly scientific person. Also, there's I also have spiritual beliefs. Also, the two can coexist. But that creative side of you, that creator that's within you, when you start to tap into that, you take that step, you start to see clearly, you start to experience the world for exactly what it is and exactly how it is, and moving and flow with that creator, that creative energy, that raw, pure form of creative energy. That's exactly what you use to tap into that present moment. And within that present moment, you also connect with everything else there is. It's always right there. You just need to tap into it. Some of us, some of us can do it quite easily, more than others, and some people maybe might never ever get a chance to actually feel or experience that kind of state of consciousness. But essentially, when you're living in flow, living in creation, flowing with your life essence, you don't forget survival. It's there, but you take a more discerning approach to survival as opposed to a fear-based response or reaction. When you're in survival, you have no choice but to be reactive. When someone says something to you that might not sound nice or the way that you want it to, maybe the person is not actually trying to be mean to you, but that's the perspective that survival paints for us. It shapes that lens where the only thing that you can perceive is threat and conflict. That's the main source of all the suffering that's happening right now in this with this third dimension in this time, November 25th, 2020, 2025, 2024. I'm going far into the future here. But I feel like what most of us need is something to spark us, something to sometimes most people, they normally have some kind of life-shattering event or something very significant shift in their life that gives them that kind of jump start to start moving into creation and past survival. That's the beauty of it all also, because negative emotions and negative experiences could be our greatest teachers. They have a very valuable thing that they bring to the human experience. A lot of times we feel down, or we feel sad or ill, like we've lost someone, or we've lost something precious or dear to us, or even just we have this empty feeling that we don't know why, or why it's there. But essentially, those negative responses or reactions or stimuli that we have, they're telling us something. They're communicating something to us, something that we do not yet see with our current perspective. And that's exactly what we need to pay attention to start to move from that survival state into a more creative flowing energy, that kind of sense of that pure infinite source where everything comes from, where everything resonates with, vibrates with, essentially. And another aspect of this creation is when you create something, maybe you're not even creating with the intent to connect with your creative energy, but essentially that's what's going on automatically without you even knowing. As long as you're not doing it out of like obligation, and you're actually doing something for expression of your essence, or expressing something somewhere, anything, like a painting, or maybe you want to fucking cook something. Essentially, that's still connecting with the creator within you. Because in order to create something, we need to extend reality into an alternative domain. So, how can I translate this for you? Let's say, for example, we have this third dimension, this physical plane. You can jump up, gravity pulls you back down, you can walk forward, backwards, left, and right. XY axis, Z axis. So 3 dimensions, across, up, down, 3D. How can we extend some aspect of the third dimension? Let's think for a second. Let's think of a painting, a blank canvas, just a white blank canvas. And now you take some paint with certain different colors, and each color maybe vibrate at a different frequency, wavelength. And when you take that paintbrush and you start to paint onto that canvas, you essentially creating an alternative domain for existence to extend from the third dimension into a different dimension, like a flat paper with some stuff on it. And that creation, whether you are alive to see it or not, it's gonna serve a purpose. Maybe after you're long gone, and maybe you left that painting in your house, and you had no intention of making any kind of profits with that painting, and the house may be set on fire one day from the future, from the people who've bought the house, and let's say 50 years down the line, or maybe 70, 100 years down the line, and that person's lost everything. But the one thing that came out unscathed is that painting. And that painting has saved that person's life by being able to give them the funds for maybe getting a new house. They've looked at the painting and say, wow, this painting could be worth millions potentially. And there you go. It can happen in many millions of different kind of scenarios, but essentially, even the food that we make is an art in itself, because when you make food for someone, that's kind of a form of creation in the chemical realm, in the biochemical realm. But yeah, that's essentially what I've been reflecting on, things I've been yeah. But I'll catch you on this one. This is very unrecited, so maybe I could put a bit more structure to the video next time. But yeah, I try to just make the videos as I get the contents in my head, of course. And this is why I'd like to kind of keep it that way. Just simply, it takes less time from me on my end. I can actually get time to actually do stuff and connect with my own creative spirit. Yeah, I don't want to take too much of my free time making and editing videos and stuff like that. But essentially, this is why I'm just here, open and vulnerable, and you're seeing me do all the fuck ups. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. But I'll leave you here. Catch you on the next one.